What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Modified Rides Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Burrell. Today is another one of those episodes of just me. The week this needs to be recorded with a guest, I'm actually going to be traveling. The wife and I are taking off to Italy for our anniversary. So the time this gets launched will be about the time I get home. So really no way to squeeze in a guest. I won't have my office with me overseas. So figure I'll just give you guys a quick update here on what's what with that. So one of the things that I keep getting asked about, which is something I'll go over with this episode, this will be pretty much a sponsorship type episode. I get asked all the time, how do you get sponsored? How do you get parts? How do you work with these companies? And I hear that must be nice because you're always involved with these companies, and why can't they send me something? I drive my truck or my car around town. I should be able to get the parts as well. So I started dealing with sponsors back in probably, let's see, my car come out and mini truck in 99. So I'd say about 99, I started working with companies. The first company I think I picked up was Lexani Wheels. That was before they were dealing with ball players and all this stuff. So they'd sent me a set of 17-inch chrome wheels, the Lexani Solars for my CRX back then. They wound up being the wheels that were on it for the Lowrider magazine shoot. Picked up a couple little other smaller companies with that. But keep in mind, this was way before social media was even a thing, way before people had that opportunity to have, 10,000, 100,000, 500,000 followers. That wasn't an option. So I had to get myself out there. I had letters of intent from magazine editors saying it was going to be in the magazines. I knew that the amount of shows I was going to be hitting. Sponsorships were a little different back then, but that carried on to the next vehicle I did in 2002 when I had my Protege 5. I'd hit up a couple companies saying, hey, this is what I built. This is what I've done. These are the magazines it's been in. This is what I have now. So I know when I first started doing that, that was what was big. You had to have some kind of magazine commitment. You had to have some kind of, big show placement or something for a company would send you parts or even give you a crazy discount or whatever. But I had that when I was starting my second one. So I'd already had that name established. They could look me up. They could pull the magazines up that my car was in. This was about the start of my photography career, I guess you'd say. I started that in 01. I built this car from 02. I sold it in 04. So I had it for a couple years. Actually went through about 4 or 5 different sets of wheels on it. The wheel company that I got hooked up with then, they liked what I did. And every time it showed up in a magazine or something big, they'd be like, all right, cool. That looks done. Let's send you another set. We need our new set out there. So I'd already built that relationship with that wheel company back in 2002, 2003. So word of mouth travels. I can get with another company and go, hey, this wheel company's using me. This tire company's using me. How do I get your parts? So my start, I built my first vehicle, got some kind of name recognition to some degree. Was it really recognition? No, but it still created a presence with what I was capable of doing for these companies, what their return on investment would be if they sent a set of wheels or they sent an intake or an exhaust. That product would wind up at X, Y, and Z show. It would wind up in X, Y, and Z magazine. That's how that worked. Well, fast forward to 2014 when I first started my first SEMA build. I banked a lot of my stuff with the first 2 builds because I'd created that career for that 10-year span between, the time I'd sold my yellow car in 2004 to the time I had my first SEMA vehicle in 14, which is where the Project Decade name came from. It was a decade between show vehicles. Everything else I'd had some cool vehicles. I'd still had some wheel and tire companies send me stuff. Like I had the first Honda Fit in North Carolina when they first come out. I had a company send me a set of 17s for that. That was just because I created that rapport with some of these companies. They knew who I was. They knew what I was doing. They knew I was traveling shows, multiple, 3-4 weekends a month, multiple shows a month to shoot these shows. And what I was driving at the time, they knew that it would be seen. So that kind of helped. Well, that kind of gets into the whole, well, how do I get mine? How do I get people to send me parts? I drive my car, my truck to the little Sonic meet on Saturdays. And it's like, these big companies want more than what you can offer by going to a local Sonic meet where there's 30 vehicles there. They're not going to get that kind of exposure on their product. So when I started doing the SEMA stuff, 2014, social media was what it is. Well, not what it is now, but it was still a big deal. But first build I did for SEMA, I had, I think, 7 magazine articles in trucking. We did bed cover install. We did the lift kit install. We did some engine stuff, bumper install. Like, there was quite a few installs. I think, like I said, there were 7 tech articles on that one truck. So not only were these companies getting SEMA placement with their parts, they were also getting multiple magazine articles, and what wound up being 2 magazine covers. I had Trucking Magazine and Lift and Level Magazine. Both ran that truck on the cover. So that immediately established what I was capable of doing. At that point, it's 13 years of shooting, but 10 years hard without a show vehicle. So it established, when I jumped back into it, I was capable of providing their return on investment, which is what they want from their parts. Well, then the next SEMA build come about, same thing. I reached out to a lot of the same companies, picked up a few new ones. Then I got 2 SEMA builds under my belt. So then these companies are like, oh, well, this guy follows through. A lot of people's like, oh, I'm building this for this show, or I'm building this for SEMA, I'm building this for this magazine. And honestly, a lot of people fall through. I've seen so many people's like, hey, I'm building this truck. Can you shoot it for magazine? I go through, get it approved by the editor I was dealing with at the time, get the magazines confirmed it, and these people get these parts and they fall off the face of earth. That aspect alone, I think, is what shied a lot of companies away from doing sponsorship stuff. They're not going to send you 2, 3, 5, 10, $20,000 worth of wheels, for example, whatever the case may be, depending on what the wheels are, and you disappear. That's just lost investment at that point. So most of these companies will deal with people that they know is going to have the SEMA stuff, that know that have a name behind them. So can you start from nothing and create that brand for these customers? Absolutely. Or I'm sorry, for these companies? Absolutely. You can brand yourself enough that these companies are going to see that. Well, back in 99, when I first got my first sponsors, 98, whatever it was, social media wasn't there. You had to have the magazine stuff or a big placement like SEMA, a big booth spot at like Nopi Nationals or something like that. You had to have that for these companies to even look twice at you. Now, I know every sponsorship form I fill out, a lot of the companies I deal with, I've dealt with year after year. This is probably the 10th year I've dealt with some of them. I follow up with them, go, hey, I got a new build. What parts do you have? Let's work together again. They know what I'm going to provide for them when it comes to exposure. Well, now every form I have to fill out for sponsorship wise, it wants your Instagram, it wants your TikTok, it wants your Facebook, it wants your YouTube. And I've actually had one of my sponsors say, if they have someone comes through and they have less than 10,000 followers, for example, on Instagram, that they'll just go ahead and delete that email. They're not interested in it because they know they can't get that exposure. Now, there are some companies that will take care of people that have big followings, even if you're not in that world. And I think that pertains to anything, whether it's truck parts, car parts, motorcycle parts, jet skis parts, skateboards, if you're racing motocross, whatever. If they see you have a big following and your interaction with people is there, it gives them that return on investment, the ROI that these companies are looking for. If they're going to send you a product and it gets seen by a ton of people, then that's more eyes that see that product, that know that company exists. So Yeah, you can start, reach out to these companies with, 1,000, 2,000 followers or whatever, but they may give you a discount. And then, don't shy away from that. If you get that discount from them, whether it's 20%, 40%, 60%, whatever it is, some of these people will be like, if you have something going on, you can guarantee you can give them some kind of magazine placement or whatever they're looking for. They might say, pay for it up front, we'll reimburse you, or pay for half, we'll reimburse you. I even deal with some of that. Everything I deal is not free. It's still a lot of expense behind it. Even these SEMA builds, everybody's like, oh, you get everything given, everything's handled for SEMA. No, it's not. I'm still a ton of money out of pocket. But back to the whole thing with them giving you that discount. If it's a part you really want and believe in, take that discount, tag them, post their stuff, share their stuff. When they do some kind of like, hey, we're doing a Memorial Day sale, share it with your followers or your friends. Do a cool video of, hey, this is what these companies are doing. They're offering this crazy, 25% discount for 4th of July or Christmas or Black Friday, whatever it is. Share their stuff. I'm friends with a lot of marketing directors. They see that. They see what's tagged. And then they start seeing your name pop up. They see more and more. And you might have a certain vehicle that they're like, hey, we're looking for a, blah, blah, blah truck. We don't have access to one. And they go, oh, this guy we gave this discount to, or girl, whatever. This guy we given this discount to constantly shares our stuff, tags us, is a good, quote, brand ambassador for what we do. He has that vehicle we need. Let's reach out to him, see if we can send him these parts, get first world testing. There's several companies I've dealt with that I have their first run parts and there be an issue with it, but they know I'm not going to be the one to get online and go, hey, this company sent me this bullshit part. It broke or it don't work like it's supposed to. No, that's where you reach back out to that company and go, hey, we worked together on this part. It failed or it did this because of this, given the situation. That's real world R&D for some of these companies. Yeah, they have an R&D, set up, but you pushing their product to the limits, whether it's racing, showing, off-roading, whatever it is, you pushing that lets them say, all right, if we have a fault in this situation, let's fix it. So instead of you bashing that company, you give them that direct feedback. That goes a long ways too. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there. If you search a part, go, check your reviews on this. They're like, oh, this is garbage or this is trash. That can go for anything, whether it's camera gear, whether it's, headphones, whether it's tennis shoes. It don't matter. You're going to have more people with bad experiences post about it than you will people that have good experience. So put yourself out there, work well with these companies, always stay positive. I know a lot of them, once you do start working with companies, that's where it goes into if you're posting a lot of political stuff or a lot of, controversial stuff that you would see in the news that divides people, companies take note on that. There's a lot of times I'll see a crazy meme. I'm like, oh, I want to share that. I'm like, no, I have a lot of companies I deal with and sponsors and stuff that I've become friends with. Let's not, because that reflects that bad light. So not only do you have to support what they're supporting you with, you also have to make sure you're branding yourself correctly. So, like I said, so back on the SEMA thing, I had, back to back. So I had 2014, I had Project Decade. 2015, I had Dark Earth. 16, we had Red Bottoms WRX. 17, we took Red Bottoms back to SEMA, and we also brought my buddy Chris's Tundra, Pumpkin Spice Tundra. So that was back to back to back with these companies. These companies say, all right, every year we're going to send this guy these parts. We're going to work with him on these prototyping stuff. Let's work with him again. As obviously he follows through. Well, 2018, I didn't build anything. That's actually the year I decided to build my garage out. So instead of dumping, that big ton of money into the SEMA build, I decided it was time to upfit my garage and paint it and put the lights and the cabinets. I had no clue I was going to be detailing out of it and that stuff. I just wanted a cool garage, which in turn, companies saw that. I had multiple companies reach out and go, hey, we saw your post about your garage. We have, these garage door lights. Would you be interested in sending you a set? And you putting them on and, tagging us and posting some stuff. That's people I never reached out to, but they saw what I was doing. And that person didn't go on and see that one picture of my garage and go, all right, I'm stopping there. They scrolled through looking like, what is this guy about? What does he have? Is this somebody that has 200 followers? Is this someone that actually interacts with people? Companies look at that kind of stuff. They don't just look at what you post, that one thing that catches their attention. They're going to look back. Like I said, so 18, that was that. 19, I did the Ram. 20, of course, COVID shut most of the shows down, shut SEMA down. They said that was the first year in SEMA's history that they didn't have a show. 21, I took the Ram back, and that's when my whole world changed. Left Pepsi, started doing my own thing, basically branded my whole brand as myself, where it was a side gig. Nope, all out me. Like so 21, I did that. Well, 22, I didn't build another SEMA vehicle, but I knew I wanted to do another one. So we still took off to SEMA. Me and Kristen still took off to SEMA, walked through, shook hands, go, hey, we're looking at building this. What do you have? This is who I am. This is what I've got. Put my face in front of these people, which it was originally supposed to be a lifted Tundra for me and a lifted 4Runner for her to match. We were going to do the Lunar Rock color, bronze wheels. We are going to matchy the whole thing. Well, I realized there wasn't a lot of static drop trucks at SEMA that year. And it's like, I really want to do one. Let's do one that stands out. So it switched from doing both the Toyotas to doing the Sierra. Well, these companies knew, that I already talked to, were like, oh, well, regardless if it's a Tundra or Sierra, we have parts, we'd love to get it out there. So that's where SEMA 23 come about. So companies like to see that kind of interaction. If I'd built the first one and disappeared, never did anything with any of these companies, never went back to SEMA, never kept in contact with them, emails, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, then I become a kind of an afterthought. Like, who is this guy again? I don't remember that. Well, that's one of the main questions I get when people ask, how do you get sponsorships? Well, I use the analogy all the time. Dropstars has worked with me year after year on my builds. Dropstars TIS wheels, it's all the same company. Depending on what year it is, what I've built, whether it's lifted, lowered, whatever, it's been either TIS or Dropstars all but a couple years of my builds. I work great with Miles and Ramos and those guys. So I use them as an example. If I get a call and one of them says, hey, we have this big event coming up. We've got something going on at, say, NASCAR track. We're setting up a booth. Somebody's asked us to come set up to, we just got an event. We need vehicles. Can you have your vehicle in Atlanta on Saturday? My answer is yes. I will rearrange my schedule. And they get it. If something comes up, if there's a death in the family, a wedding, something you can't make it, cool. But if you're just like, oh man, I don't have the money this week. I really can't go. Like, they see that. They realize, all right, well, this guy's not gonna follow through when we need him. But like I said, use that example. Can you have your vehicle in Atlanta this weekend? And I do it. Even when I built Chris's truck, we even talked about that. If there's something come up and they're like, hey, we need this truck in, Charlotte this weekend or Nashville or whatever, can you come? And he couldn't come for some reason, he would have handed me the keys and I would have taken it. Like that. That's how that works. When a company takes time out of their budget, or I should say money out of their budget and time out of their day to support your build or builds or racing or whatever it may be, drifting, it don't matter. If they take their resources and put them in you have to follow through if you want to keep that name in that industry. So it's not just about getting free stuff or getting something different. It's a relationship. I don't even really call it sponsorship anymore. It's build partners. Like, I work with them, they work with me. And one thing I can provide is when a company sends me parts and they go, hey, can we get some photos of this or video of this? Cool, I can provide that. Not everybody can do that, but that's where you reach out to that friend or friend of a friend or whatever that does photos, that you can provide these companies these parts. I got to shoot a buddy's truck for US Mags. It's a new wheel they have, and they're like, hey, we really need some photos. Can you get us some wheels? And he's like, no, I can't, but I got my buddy Brandon can do it for me. So we connected, and I got to do that, which I've done some stuff for that company. It's all under Wheel Pros. I've shot for American Force. I've shot for product release stuff for like fuel off road wheels. But it's not just about getting the parts, the product, whatever, whether it be suspension lift, full crate engine, whatever it may be. You have to give back to these companies. A lot of them will tell you, we have to have X amount of posts. We have to have X amount of shows. You have to send them, you put a credit card on file. A lot of them, if you don't follow through, they will charge your credit card. It's a legal contract you sign. I still do it for, I don't know, probably 80% of the stuff I do now. I still have to fill that form out, but give them what they're asking for. So you start small, and you got that company that gives you that 25%, that 50% discount, whatever. Over deliver, under promise, under deliver. Give them photos. If you're good at putting reels together, put a reel together, throw it in a Dropbox link or a Google Drive link or something, and send it to them. Be like, hey, I put this together. It's got your logo. Maybe you can use that. I've got a couple companies I'm dealing with that I've got to do a couple reels for, that give them to them, let them post it on their channels, before you post it on yours, but give them that. And then a lot of these companies, especially if you're in a small market, like a lifted truck market or a mini truck market, air ride market, something like that, all these marketing guys know each other. And one of them's going to reach out and go, hey, did you work with Jim Bob with this blue truck? And they go, yeah, I worked with him. Well, how was he? Oh man, he didn't do what he said he was going to do. He didn't go to these shows. We never seen any pictures, nothing. That's not what you want. But if you have that, hey, did you work with this guy? And they go, oh man, he sent, he tags us all the time. He sent us high res photos we can use. We've actually have some in one of our catalogs. This guy's awesome. He's quick at replying back. And that's another thing. Communication is key. I know so many people, I could text 15 times, email, whatever, whether it's other photographers, whether it's industry people, it don't matter. I have several people I know that I couldn't get a reply back if I tried. That's different if it's just one of your buddies that you're like, hey, I don't feel like going to the pool hall this weekend. I'm just not going to reply. Business is business. If someone's going to have you involved in their business with a sponsorship item, that's where you step up and make sure you communicate on that. Oh, trust me, I know marketing people, won't call no names out. Alexander has probably 100,000 unread emails, but these marketing people are so buried in what they do, they can't keep up. So if one of them don't get back to you immediately, don't get discouraged on it. Give them time. There's times they have, between meetings or whatever, they'll sit in the airport or whatever, and they'll go through their emails and be like, oh man, I didn't get back with this guy. Let me get back with this guy quick. Hey man, sorry. Yes, we can do that, or no, we can't, or whatever. So I guess the moral story is, if you're wanting something sponsored, if you're wanting to work with some of these companies for anything you do, if it's camera gear that you're trying to work with some, company that makes this cool tripod they just come out with, it don't matter what it is. If it's any kind of direct marketing with these companies, reach out, be professional, show them what you can offer. Don't just be like, hey, give me free stuff. Don't copy and paste the same email to 30 different wheel companies. Go, hey, I've got an F-150 and I need wheels for it. I like your such and such wheel. You copy it and paste it, send that same one to 20 of them. A lot of times they're going to know, or a lot of times you're going to forget that you put that wheel model in that email, and you're going to forward that to 30 different people. That's not how that works. And most of them's going to want some kind of, if you don't have any kind of name behind you, they're going to want a rendering. They're going to want a full proposal. If you don't know how to do that, reach out to someone. Ask someone that does. Hey, can you give me pointers? Can you help me out with this? What direction do I need to go before I reach out to these companies? I've had a lot of people that's helped me over the years. I had a friend back before, when I first started the SEMA stuff, sent me his proposal, and I opened it, started a new one, kind of looked at his, kind of reworded some stuff, made it about me and what I was able to offer. But I looked at someone that had multiple sponsors and build partners, whatever you want to call it, backing all their builds. That's like, all right, well, evidently this proposal works to some degree. They just want to know who you are, what you can provide, and what kind of, like I said, return on investment they can get. So I'm sure it'll be a subject that never gets stopped being asked about. But like I said, I'll keep getting asked, how do I get sponsors? How do I get into doing this? Do it. And if you think you want something and, I went to that one Sonic cruise in, no, get out there. If there's nothing in your town that's big, that's worth a darn, drive, get with a couple buddies, go rent a hotel. We've stayed 8, 9 deep in a hotel before when I was younger because we all couldn't afford it. So make that trip, take that weekend off, drive to a show. One of the last shows I went to is Mini Nats. I stayed at home, but the next show I'm going to is 5.5 hours away. I can't stay at home. But I get out there and I put myself out there. You can't think small-minded and think local. This whole scene, the automotive scene, is not just a local scene. You have to branch out. It's worldwide. I mean, there's big events all over the world, but you can't get all over the country or all over the world of these events. Go hit one that's a couple hours away. Go hit one that's 8, 10 hours away. Drive for a day, go to the show for a day, come back. You take one day off work, or even drive all night. I know a lot of my friends will do that. But the point is, if you're wanting to work with these companies, you have to put your face out there. That's the whole reason that even in 2018 and 2022, when I didn't have SEMA builds, I still made it a point to book a flight to Vegas, go to SEMA, because a lot of times that's the only place I can see some of these marketing people and editors and stuff I deal with, company CEOs. That's about the only place I can meet some of these people in person, because then you have that repetitiveness. It's like, all right, this guy shows up. He may not have nothing this year. We've helped him out before, but he's here. He still spend that 5 minutes, shake his hand, her hand, whatever. Hey, good to see you. I'll reach out. Something I got going on comes up. You do the same. Reach out if you've got something that I can do for you. It's not always about the free parts or discounted parts for you. It's also about what you can do for that company. Hell, there was one year we was at SEMA and ran into Miles that owns the wheel company. Me and Kristen walked up, ran into him at a hotel. He walks up, pushes me to the side, gives Kristen a hug, then shakes my hand. He's like, I got to, take care of the wife first. Like, it's just, you become friends with these companies, whether it's, a local show promoter. Go to the show, you find out who the show promoter is. Like, make yourself known to some of these people. You can't just be back in the shadows. Like, it don't work like that. But get out there, get to these events, do what you need to do. If it's something that you say, all right, I want to do this, but I don't have the vehicle right now that I want to be involved with these companies. It's not something they want to be involved with. It don't fit what they would need. It's, not the caliber that they would need. Introduce yourself to some of these people, show them what you can provide. And then a year down the road, 2 years down the road, you get something. You're like, hey, we met before, this is who I am. They're like, oh yeah, I remember you. Then, they might be willing to work with you more, but you have to get out there. And that's one thing I get, asked all the time. Well, how do I do that? Well, I get out there. It's not just about the builds. It's about that personal relationship. And over the years, I've become friends with so many people because I still get out there. There's some years I don't go to as many shows as I do on others, but there's some years back, when I was doing all the magazine stuff, when there was 30 different titles for me to shoot for, and mini trucking and sport truck and hot bike and Camaro Performers and GM High Tech. Like, I would hit different events to get myself out there. Well, if say you got a lifted truck and you're in the lifted truck world, check out some of these other shows. There's a lot of companies that cross over with this stuff. You might see something that you're like, I never thought about doing that. So get out there, make yourself known, have a good online presence, give these companies something they can use. Example, I picked up my Maverick. Jason from Clears had reached out and said, hey, which of course we've worked together on several builds over the past for the headlight stuff. And he's like, man, that's a market that I can't find online. No one has smoke bumper lenses. No one has smoked or clear bumper lenses. Would you mind sending me your lights? What's it hurt me to pop my orange corner lights out, ship them to him in Canada, and let him prototype a set off that? Yeah, I rode around for a month or so without orange bumper lights. I didn't have marker lights on my bumper. So what? It didn't make the truck undrivable. That let him produce that. So in turn, he sent me a set for mine, but now he sells those because someone he's worked with took the time to ship him something that he could use to prototype parts off of. That's how these smaller companies work with. Not everybody is, some big, a Beltec or Edelbrock or a Holley. Not everybody has, multi-million-dollar budgets to do this. They rely on people that they become build partners with. So you never know where that one person's going to reach out to you for help. So in conclusion, like I said, if you're looking for that sponsorship question, just plan out. You can't just jump into it with 100 followers and you don't go anywhere than the local grocery store on Saturday night where, you pile up with a bunch of kids and some beat up vehicles that are out there doing donuts and all this takeover crap and expect companies to take you serious. If you want to be taken serious, you have to present yourself seriously. So follow along with that and, let me know where it takes you. If you have other questions, hit me up, shoot me an email, DM, whatever, let me know what kind of questions you got. I'm always glad to help that kid out there or even the older guy. I mean, some people don't get into it when they're, 16, 17, like I did. Some people wait till their 30s or 40s, whatever. If it's something that you're like, man, I really want to get into this. How do I do it? Reach out to me. I don't mind. I'll have a chat with you on how some of the in and outs work and, give some more pointers and, some people to go through to get, renderings and help with that kind of stuff. But get yourself out there and have fun with it. That's all it's about. It's about having fun. It's not about who can get the most free parts, who can get the biggest discount, whatever. And then when the people ask me all the time, when do you have any more room for stickers on your back window? Well, no, I do those stickers when I go to SEMA because that's the companies that support me. So when I have photos and videos come out, their logo's still there. So I don't do it just to do it. It's not like I'm going out and buying this part and just, it came with a free sticker. Let me put it on my back window. No. It represents companies that support me and I'm going to support them. So like I said, reach out if you want to discuss about it more. Appreciate you guys listening. Appreciate you guys following along with this podcast journey. I have a list of people I'm trying to get on. Sometimes it's hard like this. I've stacked up, I got one dropping, Tuesday. I got, by the time this comes out, I would have had, Kevin Aguilar's drop. It's the week I leave for Italy. But then the day we come home, I would have needed one out. So that's what this one is. So hope you enjoy these little interactive type things. Let me know if there's another subject you want. I can discuss that. We can do other things. Also tell me, who do you want on the podcast? Like I said, I have a list, but with schedules and, it's hard for people to record. There's sometimes people's on the West Coast like, hey, I'm not free till 9:00 at night. That's midnight my time, but they're not free in the mornings because they're still in bed. But I've got a lot of cool guys still coming for you guys to listen to. I definitely appreciate you listening. It seems to be growing every week. I'm still trying to do the Tuesday release, which is why I did this one, because I wouldn't have a chance to do it before the Tuesday this one's dropped. So Tuesdays, 5:30 a.m. I drop it every Tuesday. You guys listen to it on your way to work, on your way to school, on your way out of town, whatever. So I try to keep that. If any of you guys are interested in some of the podcast shirts, I still have several shirts, everything from small to 4X. They're $25 a piece. I can bring them to you in Battle, Alabama. If I see you there, I'll have them. If I need to ship one, I'll charge you a little bit for shipping. I also have several podcasts and some Burrell Images hats, various colors. Reach out to me. Those are also $25 a piece. Just trying to get some stuff out there. I've shipped out a ton of stickers. I had podcast stickers, Burrell Images stickers, some cranberry stickers, and some stockish stickers. I think I'm pretty much out of about most of those. I've just been mailing them out for people to put on their toolboxes or their cups or their coolers or their windshields, whatever they want to put them on. I need to get some more of those ordered. But like I said, once again, thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoy these. Share with your friends. Share the YouTube. Share the Facebook. Share the Instagram. Share, guys. That's how we grow stuff like this, is word of mouth. Tell your friends. If there's episodes you like, certain guests, share it. Don't just click like. Of course, I want you to click like, on the audio apps. Give me the 5-star review. It helps grow me in the algorithm. It helps bring me into more of this demographic. If you listen to another, like a C10 Talk or OLP or, LCD or something, it kind of ties this into their world. So when you listen to one, I'll pop up a suggestion. So like, subscribe, share. Let's get this thing growing. Let's get it huge. Let's get some even larger names on here. So like I said, appreciate you guys listening. I guess we'll see you next week with another guest.